and welcome to the TST Roundtable for the month of November, the evening before Thanksgiving, in fact. And just as a reminder, if you didn't see our webcast last night, the TST Motor Age webcast, please take a look at that. It'll be up on the web, Craig, when? In a couple of days? Probably by Monday. Put it up today?
No, Corey was on the computer.
Okay. So probably by Monday if you missed it. A great thing. Tonight, my name is G. Trulia. I'm the president and founder of TST. I got Pierre Rispo right next to me here. See?
Speak. And I'm the vice president of TST. Next to me is Bear,
associate member of TST.
Edwin Hazard, associate member.
Adam Varney, associate member. Rich Peterson, treasurer.
Neil Ricciuti, board member.
Okay, so all these guys have one thing in common. They all frickin' work on cars and diagnose and fix them. So it's all about what you guys want to yak about. We're going to show you a couple of things tonight, a couple of neat tools that we have. We have a buddy, Alan, on from New Orleans. I guess he's out of the floods and ready to tell you about a problem vehicle that he has. And we got Bear here with a Snap On Solus that's going to talk about that. Neil with a spark plug issue on a 5.4 Ford, right? And many other things. You're going to talk about the IDS. Ed's going to yak about the IDS. And Pierre, he's going to talk about something really interesting. Evap, and sometimes what happens when you're checking Evap with certain tools. Don't get fooled again. Oh, that was a Who song.
And yeah, right. And certain situations, it's not just the tools, it's the setups.
First, let's look at a couple of neat tools here we have from Easy Red. This ratchet set, pretty neat. And to give you an idea, this open end wrench kind of clips open like this. And pretty neat when you want to get on a flare nut, you know, brake line wrench, and you can kind of ratchet it in one spot. And it gets tighter, it goes into itself. So I thought this was a pretty neat tool, you know, and just look at it, how it goes in.
What it has is a little notch. You know how like a pipe wrench works? This has a little notch, so as you turn it in the tightening direction, it actually hooks the notch and stays tight. Doesn't kick out.
So one of the neat stuff here, don't forget we do have a TST top 20.
Top 10.
Top 10 neat tools, okay, so I made it 20, I lied. Okay. Also from Easy Red, this nice setup where you can take a couple of wrenches and stick them together by giving yourself a little more leverage on water pump bolts or alternator bolts or whatever that are really down there.
Idler pulley.
Idler pulleys.
Yeah, all of those nasty things.
Yeah. And even though I got those long box end snap-on wrenches, they're never long enough. This comes in handy, both standard and domestic.
And good for drain plugs.
Plus,
Great for drain plugs. Super good.
plus you also can hook them up as an angle.
That's right. Can you hook them up as an angle? The other neat thing here is a 22-piece alternator service tool. Now these alternators nowadays, they have clutches on them. So your GM vehicles, I see them on the police cars all the time. Your Ford vehicles, many vehicles that now do not need, yes, Volkswagen and BMW, we know, Pierre, we know. Audi and all of them, gotta say it. By the way, you're gonna need, a lot of people wanna replace the alternator. Have you priced these alternators? They're expensive. You don't need the alternator in most of the cases. The clutch is bad, you gotta replace it. Well, we all know the Mickey Mouse setups that are out there, trying to pull something off that ain't gonna come off. Well, you got a 22-piece kit. I feel like Vanna White, if I only looked like her. Oh, then that'd be a whole other story. At any rate, that's right, I wouldn't be here. But you have this whole setup here that you can do from domestic to Asian and European. So it's a really neat setup here on a tool, and I'm very glad that Easy Red was able to let us check these tools out.
That's to remove and install
Remove and install the pulleys.
clutch pulleys.
By the way, they make a lot of neat little lights, some clip lights, some other stuff. You know, as we play with them, we'll give you an update on them, but so far, I'm impressed. Pretty neat stuff. Let's go over to my vice president here, to my left, and talk about the story on Evap.
This was a 2011 Jetta came in, actually had been to another dealer. They had thrown an N80 valve, a purge valve on it, and kind of not really spent any time. It had a very small evap leak, and it was extremely intermittent. When it came in after 2 weeks or whatever it was, 3 weeks, it had only one event logged. This was not happening often. And
In front of the microphone.
I'm
Box.
talking to the microphone.
He's
The
talking.
box, the box.
We tested it with a smoke machine the first time it came into us and found that the LDP pump, the vent valve was kind of seeping occasionally if we tormented it long enough. Changed the pump. Car came back a few weeks later, same code, same one event. This is happening very rarely. Smoked it, and here's where it gets interesting. No smoke came out of the tank, but we were losing pressure. We were not holding pressure. And only after fiddling around with it for quite a while, I realized under the car I was smelling gas, one particular spot. Followed my big French nose up and found that it was above the tank, but below the floor. And I wish I had had Jerry's ultrasonic, but I used my engine ear little microphone with the probe out, so it's just a microphone. And I could tell that it was under the floor, above the tank, making a noise, a whistle. Still no smoke. The gasoline was, this tank was almost full. The gasoline was absorbing the smoke.
And Pierre, you bring up a very good point, because I've seen this multiple times, and this is why when I do an evap class, the gasoline not only absorbs it, the charcoal canisters, when you get the two valves there where it splits the canister, that gives you a major problem. Now sometimes the smoke just gets absorbed there. So, if you're using CO2, not air pressure,
Well, we were.
you get a gas analyzer, and I know a lot of yous out there go, "Oh,
I think it was nitrogen actually. We can't test for it.
Yeah, nitrogen you can't test for, CO2 you can. Use your gas analyzer, you see the CO2 go up. You know, you gotta move slowly, you can't move like this, you gotta
Right.
move like this. You'll see your CO2 readings go up, bingo.
You're getting close.
Or ultrasound, the one White Industries used to make is phenomenal. Ultraphonics is a company down south that makes very good ear pieces. Or Trace Liner has an ultrasound set.
The
Buy
bottom,
yourself a decent
line,
one.
by the way, was we really confirmed where this leak was by lowering the tank, you know, whatever, 4 or 5 inches, and spraying old-fashioned soapy water on it while we had the smoke machine hooked up to it, and it bubbled. That was how we found the leak.
It wasn't one of those dual bladder tanks.
No, it was not a dual
over the
bladder tank. It
axle.
was an easier tank than that. It wasn't one of those
So
barrels where
here's,
you have to rip the
here's
suspension
something
apart.
simple, and by the way, leak detection pumps on those cars do go quite often, don't they?
And this was bad, by the way. The LDP had a bad vent valve. It was
Quite common.
very slight. We thought we had it nailed the first time. It was only a few weeks later,
How many miles on this car? Remember?
10,000 I think, or 12.
Wow.
Volkswagen quality.
Just remember, job security.
Okay, Craig, do we have any questions from anyone out there? Okay, we're gonna do Rich, and then we're gonna get into Alan, has this great story here on, I forgot what vehicle this was. But anyway, Alan, he'll tell you it's a P0420, I'd have to look at my notes here, 5.4, so it's a Ford. He'll talk about a Ford, and then we'll get to everyone else's stories. So, Mr. Bear, how are you today?
I'm fine.
All right, don't forget to speak up.
All right, well, I brought the Snap-on's newest, greatest, Solus
Put it
Ultra
over here so you can put it in front of the camera.
to show and talk about a little bit.
What kind of a car is that on the picture?
Well, I'm not looking at it, how can I tell you? But anyway, they've
What a sarcastic group we have.
they've addressed a lot of issues that a lot of us had complaints with, as far as on all OBD2 application, there's no keys.
That's a biggie, no
What?
keys.
No keys,
That's a plus.
What year is it? Are we almost 2012?
excuse me?
Are we almost 2012?
Well, so they were a little behind, but they did it.
Right, they did it, they got where it took them a while to get where they needed to go. But it's Doesn't require a separate charger. It charges off the DLC, which is, I found to be a plus.
That's a good thing.
It's a touchscreen, but it still has the conventional button controls, which is it's there. It's not a make or break, not a make or break issue
Right.
that they've added to it. The price was what I considered reasonable for an above average generic scanner.
Okay.
They've got a lot of bi-directional controls.
So let's stop there. What came in this tool? I mean, domestic, Asian, European, or?
Domestic, well, they break it, the base comes with domestic Asian.
Okay.
It's all Snap-ons. Their European package is additional software.
And how much was it? Roughly.
I believe that without the European, it was $3,400. In my case, I was due for an update on my old one anyway, which was another
So it made you an offer you
six.
couldn't refuse.
Exactly. Normally on something brand new, I'd like to see it out there a while to see if there's any bug issues, but in this case, it was, like G said, it was an offer I couldn't refuse. I needed to update, and so far it's been pretty bulletproof. It's not PC based, so it's very stable. And like
No
I said,
Microsoft moments?
no
Well,
Microsoft moments. No.
I was able to play with one of these too, Bear, and one of the best features I found on this thing is it's instant boot.
Yes.
You plug it in, you're on.
So they must
You
be
don't have to
using
wait for the
flash
thing.
memory for the boot.
Yeah,
That's a good thing.
yeah, instant boot, so you're,
I just used up in Canada, we used the Verus with the wireless setup.
that's
Got
real
it.
good.
Gotta say, worked really well.
Mhm.
I was impressed that the activations and scan data came in pretty quick. I hadn't played with one. Our modus here is a few years back, and what a big difference. And the software, by the way, is the same on all their platforms.
Mhm.
So it looks like they did a good job sticking more stuff into the tool, at least from what the couple of vehicles I used it on. Their wireless thing, I think a better way to go is like Uvi is doing with Rostec, is gonna be Wi-Fi.
Mhm.
You know, I would have liked to see
Through your
that
network, in other
through your
words.
network,
Yeah.
which is a lot more stable. And
When you get
Rostec,
in the car and start driving, you know?
well, you can still, there's ways to boot it up.
You gotta make sure you shut that off actually at that point.
Well, you can just do peer-to-peer.
Mhm.
You don't need, in other words, as long as that's booted up.
Right.
Peer-to-peer, you don't need to be networking
Wi-Fi.
from Wi-Fi.
Right.
It's Wi-Fi as far as
Only
the
you,
connection.
right, yeah,
Only you.
right.
Okay. By the way, that's the way Ease, and that brings me to another scan tool thinking about. Ease, what a great job Steven has done updating some of this stuff. So some of these tool companies have done a good job, but I have a question to ask you. What car did you actually use this on that you would say the bi-directional was a lot better than you expected?
Chrysler, I was using it on a Jeep. It was very compatible with the DRB. I couldn't tell you exactly.
Right, but you didn't have to run.
Right, I mean, the DRB had 5 more things it could do that this couldn't. I don't have those kind of numbers, but it was, it had a lot of tests and a lot of controls, and so far I haven't had it that long, so, you know, the jury's still out, but so far it's been favorable.
Cool. Keep us updated on
And I
that.
will.
Craig, could we get Alan? Alan, can we get him to, do you have him on speaker? Does he have a,
Alan's not communicating, but Mr. Katarber has a question.
oh, Mr. Kataber, welcome.
All right,
Hello, Mike, how are you?
this is what Mike's saying. I have a 2004 Pontiac Grand Prix 3.8 liter
That's his problem.
Sorry to hear that.
Gen 3 engine that will start and stall the first turn of the ignition key, but will immediately start on the second try of the key. Is there any particular things I should be looking for?
Fuel.
Yeah, I would say drain back, and here's what I would do to test that theory. Turn the key on to 2 seconds, don't start it, shut it off, wait about 5 to 10, 15 seconds, do it again, let it prime up again. Try starting it the 3rd time. If it starts up instantly, you probably have a drain back problem, which could be the check valve in the pump, leaks in the lines. You know, a lot of people put the wrong fuel hose when they put fuel pumps in, and or there's a leak somewhere in the system. Those little brown O-rings that are on some of those lines, you won't get gas drippity drip. You'll get like a damp spot.
Yeah, that never goes anywhere.
That never goes anywhere.
Kind of like my evap leak, by the way, left
So-
nothing
You
ever
would see
leaked
that
out
on
of
the
it.
fuel pressure gauge, wouldn't you, Gene?
You would see,
Come up and it should stay, if it drives back
That's
down
correct.
again.
And
That's
the
another
way
way
to
to
test
diagnose
that would be to split the system in half. So if you pressurize the system, you had a gauge up front, for example, you put a clamp on the line going back to the tank. If the pressure stays, it's from that point back.
Yep.
If it goes down, it's from that point forward.
and if you clip both sides and it still goes down,
It's the
it's
injectors.
the injectors.
Yep.
There you go.
Not rocket science.
Yep.
But try that,
Or a
Mike.
pressure regulator.
You may want to cycle the key 3 times and try starting it on the 4th one. Jeeps used to have that problem with drain back, and then boom, they start right up. Is Alan there? Hey Alan, are you out there? Do you want me to?
Alan just typed a book.
Okay, so I guess
I'll
he
read
wants-
it. I'll read it, but I'll send it to everybody so they can read his book.
Okay.
All right.
So Craig is taking, Alan has a problem here with an O2 sensor, and it's on it's a DTC 420 on a 5.4 liter 2008 Titan F-150.
Okay, well, it's changing a little bit.
Oh, okay.
The vehicle I want to ask about is a 05 Nissan Frontier 4.0 liter V6
Tell him I'm talking about the other one anyway. Yeah.
with a P0300. He found 2 bad coil and plugs, cylinder 1 and 3. Hard to get to them. Someone broke both cops, so both plugs were covered in soot. I figured the owner had been driving for a while with the SES on for quite a while. Replaced both with the plugs, the mill's still on, and car runs like crap, like a bad cat. I tried cat efficiency with the eScan Pro, but I discovered it has wideband, not oxygen sensors, so I can't do a cat efficiency test.
Right.
Has
You
air
wouldn't be
fuel.
able to do that. Now, here's...
Without an
Wait, it
exhaust
keeps
fan.
going. It keeps going.
Keeps going, okay.
Keeps going. It's a book.
It's a book.
Okay.
I pull the wideband on bank 1 and do an exhaust back pressure test. It fails big time. The needle peg to 100% clogged. How do I do a cat efficiency on a air fuel system, or how do I figure a clogged cat on a wideband if I can't do cat efficiency?
Well, if the tool said 100% clogged,
It's
that
clogged.
sounds pretty clogged.
And you can't do it.
You can't do a cat efficiency if nothing's
No.
getting through the cat.
Can't do it.
Yeah.
Now, the
I
other
mean-
thing is cat efficiency on something that's not totally clogged. I mean, the best thing I still think is using an exhaust analyzer. And
I mean-
Pre-cat, post-cat.
pre-cat, post-cat, there's no question about what you got.
What about you? What about your rear O2s?
Your rear O2s, here's the other thing. So Alan, you got a wide range sensor up front. The wide range sensor up front
You don't care
should
about that.
basically be pretty much a straight line. We ain't worried about that. In the back, if you add propane or go brum brum with the throttle, we better see humpity dumpity in the back. No humpity dumpity in the back. I don't care if it's a brand new cat, you can get humpity dumpity because you're making stuff.
What
Up and down
he
hooks.
means, what he wants to see is an oxy sensor that cycles.
But if it goes bippity bop, you're in
That's
trouble.
a different story, that's a big.
Wise guy.
I think Alan's getting confused from the tool. He thinks maybe the cat efficiency in the Bernie tool is giving you a number which would apply to all vehicles. It's a generic tool. Like you could have certain American trucks and they'll not have P0420s and their efficiency would be 40%, and you could have a Toyota and it's at 70% and they'll have a P0420. So you could look at the post-cat oxygen sensor and see if it's bouncing around.
Right.
But
So
you
really
still
it
don't have a
doesn't-
real number.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter whether it's an
good.
air fuel or an oxygen sensor in the front, because quite frankly, it's only the engineers know how much the post-cat oxygen sensor is going to bounce around
Right.
through the code.
Right.
You know, Bernie doesn't know, no one knows, just the engineers.
Yeah, but I think
There's a
in
math
saying that,
calculation to it.
yeah, I think in saying that, the rear oxygen sensor at a steady speed, so let's take
Should be
at
steady.
idle, steady. At 2,500, steady.
And if you blip it,
At 35, steady. If you go brum brum,
it should cycle, and
It has
then
to
it should,
cycle.
and then it should steady itself pretty quickly.
Yes.
Yeah,
right,
But
yes.
if it keeps
If it
fluctuating all
keeps,
the
what
time.
Jerry was saying, if it keeps going nuts, then
that's a bad cat.
you don't have any
Yeah.
cat efficiency.
Now,
Right.
if it doesn't move at all, when you brum it, you got a claw cat.
Yeah.
Can't get 5
Or
pounds
a
to
dead,
do out of a
or a
1 pound bag.
dead, or a dead rear O2 sensor.
Right,
Yeah.
that's true as well.
Yeah.
And one way to check that is the old spit test. Go down there, back probe the oxygen sensor with a pin, take a power probe down so you can't touch the battery, but I can touch the end of my power probe. I touch this end with power, I touch the back probe pin with the other one, and my scan tool reading, but it show me high voltage. And do the
Right.
reverse, do it on the negative.
That's too much.
And then,
I just propane.
Yeah, that's,
Crank that propane in.
Yeah, but if the cat's
truck's
totally,
gonna
if the cat's clogged, we're talking about,
Yeah.
if
Right,
the cat's
you've got-
totally clogged, you're gonna have so much
Not
back
gonna test
pressure.
anything.
You could take out the front oxy sensor,
still one
no,
of
no,
those
but
reliable
here-
tests.
this-
put a pressure
Right,
gauge
right,
on
but I
it
mean,
and see
it's
if it's
totally
plugged.
clogged, I mean, it ain't gonna start.
yeah, but this was, let's not talk about the clock. He's talking about
Cat efficiency.
the
Cat- okay.
rear O2 sensor, how to test it if it is clogged. You want to take that out of the equation.
if it's
To
bad.
take it out of the equation electronically,
Yeah.
is it going from high voltage to low voltage? So what do you need to do? If it's clogged and no exhaust gas is coming
It's not
through,
right.
you need to do the test to see if it goes high and goes low. Once you know the O2 is good, then you say, the cat gotta be clogged,
Basically,
no
you're
exhaust
using,
is coming
you're,
back.
you're using your body as the slight electrical tingle that that
Right.
sensor needs to trigger, to.
Right,
to-
do not run wires to
No, no,
it
no,
or
don't-
any power,
You'll mess it up.
you'll mess it up.
Then you'll
So-
know you had a bad oxy
Because you
sensor.
have
You're not-
any, yeah, I'm sorry.
But you're not actually testing the sensor itself doing that. You're testing the wire back to the PCM. That's correct.
Yes, that's
You're
right.
testing the wiring
You're
back.
testing
to
the
PC.
wiring,
Right.
you're testing to make sure the PCM can get
Can
a
see
signal.
that.
Can
Right.
see
It
it.
can see the
That's
change.
correct.
Right.
If you want to test that, that's right. The next step would be, if you want to test that, you would need to unscrew
Yeah.
the sensor and put like a torch near it, not burning it.
Right.
Under
But,
it.
You know, you would want to go like this. Here's the O2 sensor dangling. You'd want to go like this, see what happens with voltage, take it away, put it
Right.
back, do a little blow on it, and guess
But
what?
it still has to be heated though, it has,
Yeah.
because it has to be hot.
Has to be hot.
Yeah, so
We
that's
used to
gonna be a
call
little
that,
tough.
we used to
It's a
call that
little
a
tricky.
vice test, where you put the O2 in the vice, no power going to it, you're on the signal wire with your meter, and all you do is put a torch near the end of it. I'm not talking about burning it. Put it near it,
Put some good
and
heat
you'll
to it.
see voltage go up,
Heat
take it
manage
away,
it.
goes
Right.
down,
See
Right,
if it's responding.
and then you know the O2 is good.
right.
But as far as back pressure testing, what you did is unscrewed it, that's fine. That's a great way to test.
It's a good
But
test.
as you said, you wanna test the wire and make sure that the PCM is getting a signal from all the way from the O2 sensor. You do the test like G said.
Now, the other thing with the Bernie tool. The Bernie tool, when it tells you the efficiency on the eScan, the ATS tool, basically that is some algorithm that Bernie is coming up with based on the switch-in from the rear. Now, the manufacturer of a truck, like Craig mentioned before, trucks are usually more lenient. Some trucks are over 8,501 pounds, which means it's not OBD2 compliant. It will never, ever put a 420 on, even if the cat is dead bad. Of course, it doesn't have to,
Right.
okay? So, you can't go by that, but when we're talking about cars, you don't even need Bernie's tool. I can do it on that. Bernie's tool makes it easier, but I can do it on the Solus, a Genesis, a
Bernie's
Pegasus.
tool is nice to be able to print it out and show somebody,
Right, but I can,
pay me.
what I can do is just see if the rear O2 is going up or down.
Definitely.
That's why
It's
good
still the
graphing
same
meter.
old thing.
Good graphing meter
Yeah. What
is
you should
very,
do.
very important.
Still the same old thing.
What do we got, Craig?
That's got it.
Any questions?
No, we're all right
Okay,
there.
so let's go back to his P0420 here, where his truck came in, reduced catalyst efficiency on bank one, he did an exhaust back pressure test. Back pressure did not cause this, it wasn't bad. It passed less than 1 pound at 2,500, that's good, by the way. Most cars will not even have at idle, the needle won't move, okay?
Right.
Pound and a half at 2,500 is acceptable, okay?
Yep.
And most of the time, you won't even see that if you got a good exhaust system.
Oh, right.
Truck had high mileage on it. Post-cat passed on one side, 3 weeks later the light came on, P0420. Some of the things that cause a 420, when I wrote back to Alan here, I said, well, you know, to check it, one of the overlooked things, the top 10 list, engine mechanical. How do you guys test for an engine mechanical problem? What do you do that's super easy? Now, if you had a Fluke 98,
I know that answer. Relative compression.
relative compression, Ford IDS, why do you think
Oh,
they
yeah.
put it in there?
Absolutely.
Well, don't own a Ford IDS, not working on a Ford, get the lab scope out. If you have an amp clamp, it's very, very easy. Just use the amp clamp, do relative compression on your Pico, on your Fluke, on your
Whatever you've got.
Snap-on, your OTC,
Whatever
your
you got.
Bernie one, whatever, you know, it don't matter. But let's see if everything is even, or do we have a dead hole somewhere? And then you're gonna get a 420 and you're not gonna be fixing it. How about valve adjustment? Now, people
Sure,
overlook valve adjustment big time.
Sure.
Those Hondas are running around clacking like there's no tomorrow, right?
And
And
even
no
on-
one's adjusting them.
And on
Subarus,
vehicles with hydraulics,
Subarus.
you gotta have the right oil in it.
Oh, shimmy cars. Okay, so when you got the shims, you gotta stick underneath and
Yeah.
lift the cam up a little bit
Yeah,
and have a shim kit set. Your Volkswagens, your Volvos, you know, a whole bunch of vehicles. Cylinder misfire.
BMW M3.
So when you got a 420, cylinder misfire. How are you looking for a misfire? We showed a tool a while back that GT something or another. I don't have it here because it's being shipped back from Canada. But that tool, pretty neat, where I just put it near a plug, coil unplug or whatever, and we could pick up a misfire right away. Okay? And there's other tools out there like that, whatever you're using for a misfire.
Well, that
Exhaust, oop,
Will that tool work on the Porsche Cayenne?
I'm gonna make you a Porsche Cayenne. Exhaust leaks.
It's an inside joke, folks.
Now, how many people miss exhaust leaks? Here's where a smoke machine comes in handy, by the
Very
way.
handy.
Shut the vehicle off, smoke it from the back, and you see exhaust coming out of something, you got a problem. Now you got air going past, making that 420 happen that no one ever looks for. The oxygen
False
sensor
air, not through the engine, but after the engine.
after the engine. By the way, isn't that why you see a lot of these catalytic converters up front pre-cat, another cat, then you got an O2 sensor that's supposed to be the rear O2, but you got one more cat,
And right.
and there's no sensor after it.
After the end of it.
And
right.
everyone goes, you don't need to change that rear cat, right?
Yeah, because they don't monitor it.
But they do.
Yeah, they
That
do,
changes
right.
the algorithms, and if you come across a Nissan or a Subaru that's a tough piece of work, if you don't change that rear cat, if you notice no rear O2, remember we just mentioned exhaust leaks? That changes the whole algorithm of that rear O2 sensor.
Well, Nissan will send you the rear cat
Yeah.
with it.
The factories will send you both. They will not just sell you the front, but what do people do? They buy aftermarket.
Yeah.
Aftermarket, oh, the parts guy goes, that's what
It's a
you
lot
need.
cheaper.
Which can be a problem in itself, for some vehicles.
On
Yeah,
some-
you have to watch your sources, and we've said this many, many times. This is not just an ad for factory stuff. It's watch your sources, buy high quality, make sure whoever you buy it from is accountable, and we'll take it back if it doesn't work.
No doubt.
Meanwhile, you waste a lot of time.
Lot. Then we got O2 sensors and air fuel ratio sensors. You need to know how to test them. You need to know they're working, as we said, either you're gonna bench test it, you're gonna see some sort of voltage change, you're gonna add propane, whatever you're gonna do, vacuum leak, you need to see the thing going. Fuel pressure.
And volume.
And volume, very, very, very important. Volume, in fact, you need to refer back, it's free, again, being up on Monday, or maybe before Monday, depends on Craig's schedule, okay? When that is up on the web, we show you how to do the pressure and volume test, okay? Big, big difference where both of the guys I did the webcast with last night, you know, they can actually see, and didn't believe it till you can see it. I could have volume, and my pressure may be bad. I could have perfect pressure, but the volume ain't there. That's the problem in most cases.
Right.
Now, unfortunately, it's not a lot of people making flow gauges. And a pint in 15 seconds just don't cut it anymore. Or, as Pete said, oh, when I opened it up and the car stalled, well, come on, that's pretty easy. But we can get, I've opened a lot of them up and you can fill a suitable container up, and it ain't telling you what the real flow rate is.
Right.
You need a flow meter, very important. Injector problems. Okay, injectors like I showed again last night, rust, particles from the tank. When you put a fuel filter in, how many guys wet the fuel filter? You know, how many bar of, do they have when a Volkswagen fuel pump comes on, or some of the old Beamers and Mercedes?
You're talking about K-Jet? Those were running, I don't remember the bar number, it would be what, five and something, 70 some to almost 100 PSI, right?
And so you know what happens when you don't wet a filter?
It
And that
blows it
fuel
away.
comes rushing in, and a little piece of paper goes flying up to where? The fuel injectors.
Yeah.
And now you're not gonna clean it out. The only one that has a chance of cleaning it out of all the equipment that's out there is a Motovac, because it pulses the rail. But if you got that screen packed, like Adam brought some injectors in, I forgot what car that was, and those things were packed up with crap in them.
Aston Martin.
The Aston Martin. Aston Martin, we should call it.
Aston
Okay.
Martin.
Aston
Hey, it's a
Martin.
family show.
Oh, sorry.
The Porsche Cayenne.
The Porsche Cayenne. But when it's packed up with metal, you're not gonna clean that with Motovac or anyone else.
Right.
Nope.
They need to be removed, they need to be ultrasonically cleaned.
The screens have to be pulled out of the inlet.
Yeah, the screen.
Now, here's another one.
At that point.
How many of you guys have seen, especially Volkswagen's notorious for this,
A mass airflow.
oil contamination when you have any type of vacuum leak, the thing goes pig rich, and now you take the
BMW had
dipstick
this a
out?
lot too, with the PCV valves going bad.
Sure.
Sucking gigantic amounts of crankcase, vapors, oil into the intake.
And, yeah, and no difference, by the way,
Clogging
than
cats even.
the old four-banger domestic vehicles where the wrong PCV valve put in, it can suck all the oil right out.
They're Cavaliers.
Cavaliers, okay? But when you want to do a dipstick test, I spoke about this last night as well, you're not sure how much gas, or is there gas in the oil? Take the dipstick out to a suitable place, put a lighter or something on it, and if this thing's burning, dude, you get a lot of gas in there. You're gonna need to drain it. That's called the burn test.
If in doubt, I think you should always sell an oil change.
With the right oil, by the way.
With the right oil and draining it very well, letting it all vent, because if you think there might be gasoline in that oil, get rid of
I
it.
agree. Then some of the other things. Oop. Yeah, then.
I like the burn test. I've never heard about that one before.
Well, next time I'm gonna stick you know what under it, and we'll burn you up. Okay. ECT problems, sensor problems. Okay, like mass airflow sensors, another Volkswagen problem. Okay.
They're not the only ones I am.
No, they're not.
I'm not taking it personal. Everybody has mass air, actually.
Yeah, and you can't clean those sealed units, like BMW,
Mercedes, virtually all the
Volkswagen,
Europeans.
all the
right?
Europeans, and,
Bosch boxes.
Yeah, the Bosch box.
No, you can give it a
Japanese use
shot. We've done it.
Thick film?
Yeah.
The Volvo, like Volvo has, it's in the big circular thing.
Yes.
Yeah, you can take that apart.
Yes, but cleaning that substrate is almost guaranteed failure.
very tough.
Worked on the last one we did.
Well, maybe one of these gazillion. Intake leaks, major problems. These will all cause your problem for a P0420 down the road. Why? Pirated air is gonna give you hell, and people never look at ignition timing. Now, I know no one uses a timing light anymore
No.
because there's no place to put them. But you can use your lab scope to see if your crank and cam are lined up, or how far off they're actually at. Or your scan tool, which is easier, right?
Yeah.
And see where the data is, okay? And that's where you can use a scan tool like OTC, Snap On, or Factory, whatever, to tell you what the degrees are.
I still think the scope is the best, because the scan tool just knows what the cam and crank is telling it. If that's out.
Well, I would agree, but some guys are not good at using the scope, going on cam and crank.
Yeah, this is
To
stuff
actually
that you have
figure
to
it out.
educate yourself on, but the other advantage of a scope is if you have some kind of what I call hair on a signal, if you have some type of quality issue with the signal,
Right.
your scan tool, I don't care whose scan tool it is only going to report to you what the computer thinks it is.
That's right.
It's not going to see the abnormality.
Jerry, a P0420 code is predominantly caused by a rich condition or a lean condition?
Doesn't matter.
Well, lean condition, rich command. After fuel is going down for a period of time, the substrate is just gonna deteriorate.
It can be oil too, it can be a contamination issue.
Yeah.
It
But-
could be other contaminants, it could be something in the fuel.
Well, the antifreeze and stuff, oil, it takes a long time. You ever see blow turbochargers go out?
Mhm.
Usually that catalytic converter is gonna come back to 100% as soon as it heats up and burns it all out.
Right.
It has to be.
Unless it got so hot or was like a
Oh.
big misfire that broke the matrix up.
Right, right. If the substrate is broken,
That's it.
That's a
Yeah,
different
yeah,
ballgame.
yeah.
Think
But
about
we're
the car
talking-
companies
Well, they can
that
melt
have
them.
real high oil consumption rates, like Volkswagen or
Like
BMW
GM.
or,
Like,
you know,
yeah.
yeah. They're blowing a lot of oil.
Yeah,
Through that
and what
cap
Jerry's
all the
saying
time,
is that
that
usually
came
comes back
back.
100%, but I've seen some that never came back all the way, that plugged them up so much they just
Yeah.
couldn't burn some of those passages
Well,
clean.
you know what's bad? If you have valve seal problems, the slow oil constant.
My daughter's
drippity,
3 Series
drippity,
right
drip. Then when something blows, the cat's pretty much done.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, Craig, do we have any questions or comments out there?
Yes, on a 2002 Chevy Suburban 6.0 liter V8, the exhaust manifold cylinder head bolt heads have popped off. Does the Snap-on CGM 515 COLET, how do I pronounce that?
Collet.
Collet?
Oh, the
Maybe
it's called-
maybe-
tractor.
Yeah,
It's a
collet.
it's a collet stud extractor.
Yeah.
Stud removers work well, or the universal style blue point stud remover for removing bolts in the cylinder head.
I would think a collet type would be better, but here's the thing, if that stud is broken off in there, what's really more important is how corroded it is in the head.
Yeah.
Sometimes
That's tough getting out.
You've got a problem there if it's really frozen in that head. And that really comes down to specifics. A collet has it's a better surface, there's more surface area than the old-fashioned stud extractors that only had kind of points.
4 points.
Right, yeah, this goes all the way
This
around.
goes all the way around and tightens down on it. So a collet would be better, but
It
you
almost
can't,
looks like one of those.
yeah, kind of like that, kind of thing. Only it's got splits in
It
it,
splits in it.
and so it can be squeezed down around the stud.
And it works a lot better than the other ones that can break in there because that expands everything.
Yep.
Yeah.
Those just go, they snap
Yeah,
it.
but they're going to go on a stud, not drilling it
Yeah.
inside.
Right,
They're
right,
actually
yeah, no, on
going
the
over
outside,
the
yeah.
bit of, and so the bottom line is though,
My
if you
Snap-on kit
force
worked
that
well.
and it's still rusted in, you're just going to bust it again flush.
Right.
And you'll be drilling it anyhow.
One of the things I've experienced with these things is if it does not break flush in the head where you got a little bit on the outside, I usually tap it with a hammer, and that kind of like loosens up where it goes inside the head, and I've had good success.
Now,
If I don't tap it,
Now, the
It's
other
not
thing
thought.
I've done, now, this is a kind of an artistic thing, we all try our little techniques, but if you have something standing up on that stud off the surface, and you put a nut on there, and you weld that, and you have to be an artist with a MIG.
That
I
works.
don't think you could
Right,
fit a
right.
TIG, I don't think you could get a TIG in there, because you got two things, but if you
With a
could,
MIG, you
if
could.
you could MIG it, first of all, you're heating the thing up real hot, and what I found is, motor oil is better than penetrating oil if you catch it when it's cooling down, because the heat thins it, and motor oil is a better lubricant than penetrating oil. And then you can
Well,
gently,
penetrating burns off and starts smoking.
penetrating oil burns off.
Yeah.
And so you may use penetrating oil, a little squirt of it as a wick. Put a little motor oil on there and a squirt of motor oil, and then as it's cooling, gently put some force on that nut to get it out of there.
Don't
I've had
use the
good-
big breaker bar?
Do not use a
I
big
tell you
breaker
what-
bar. I've had good luck with that.
I'll tell you what's worked well for me also is a lot of times, or most of the times, you got the aluminum head, the metal bolt,
To
you
dissimilar
use the
metals. I was just
inductor
gonna ask about the
Yeah.
induction.
and you get that thing all nice and
I love
nice and
that
hot.
thing.
That's a great tool.
I
Right on.
love
Yeah.
I love
I
that
mean,
tool.
Yeah.
God bless the
You can
guy
get in
who
there,
made
it's
that.
great.
That is a really
Yep.
phenomenal
Yeah.
tool. You got the one with the spare wire, you just can
Mhm.
wrap it around. I was
Right.
just gonna bring that up.
Yeah.
Good thing you said
Yeah.
that.
And that was asked as well, so you
Oh, yeah,
answered.
very good.
Yeah, it works.
If you don't own one,
Get
it's
it.
a great investment.
Yeah.
Right.
It really is. I don't know how a shop can do without it.
Just
Yeah.
for parlor tricks too.
Yeah.
That's a great tool.
For parlor
And-
tricks.
Any other questions out there?
Should we loosen up body mounts for better access in that situation?
Sure. Whatever you can do.
Anything you need for access is good.
Absolutely.
Absolutely,
Take
yes.
the whole cab off, like
Yeah.
a Ford.
That's the Ford. Gotta remove it. International, the truck was not built around that motor, was it?
I was told that they're not hard to remove either.
The
core
cabs?
tabs.
No,
You know, they do it on
do
Land Rovers too. They pull
Do
the,
they? They should just leave them off. of
Yeah, I was told by a
Just
Ford
leave the whole
cab.
car.
Leave the whole thing off.
from the guy that works on Volkswagen.
Any other questions?
I saw a guy on YouTube remove 2-piece Ford Triton spark plugs with a butterfly impact. None broke. He claims he does them all the time without breaking them. They come completely out in one piece. The only thing he does is treats it with BG and warms the engine. Do you guys buy it, or is it a magic trick?
Yeah, I've heard that being done.
I haven't seen a butterfly impact in a long
I've
time.
heard
used
that
an impact
as well,
tool to get
using,
Butterfly.
whether it be BG or Run Right or
Whatever it
something,
is,
helps break down, gets that combustion chamber really hot, breaks away some of the carbon.
Yeah.
I don't know about using an impact gun.
Oh, no, you said an impact gun?
He said a
Butterfly.
Butterfly.
That
Oh,
sounds
a
highly,
butterfly
highly
impact. No, I
risky
know.
to me.
Yeah.
Well, I remember years back, we used to take spark plugs out with the Snap On impact gun that actually would torque them down. I still have that torque wrench out there. Would torque plugs down. It had two things on it. If the plug had no problem with adhesion, I still have part of a cylinder head outside. Because I did a whole thing and beat the
Yeah.
state of New York
Yeah.
on this case. Okay, a good plug, I can take your regular gun that you use to put take tires off with. I can take a plug, and if everything is good, I can drill new threads on that plug with the gun, put it in, it won't break. If you get something that is adhesion, two dissimilar metals,
Right.
it welds, and what happens,
That's a problem.
the head of the nut comes off.
Right.
Okay, so it's not really, I think what that guy may be doing with the butterfly, it's not a lot of torque taking it out, it may be kinda shaking it, and the quick this
Yeah.
may break it,
Snap the
so
plug, yeah.
I personally haven't done it, like when I did
Right.
Ace's truck, and Ace didn't do anything for 120, 30,000 miles on that thing. It was hairy, I did the oil down there, I did a little tighten, I did the loosen, went back to the real tough ones,
Right.
broke them out, and, you know, I see a lot of them on the police cars really go.
That's exactly
Maybe,
what
I would
did.
say experiment on a junkyard part or whatever before you start playing with customer
And if it
cars.
works for you.
Techniques like that.
You know, what brand gun is he using? Because this is something that, hey, it may really work. I mean, when you think about it. We used to do a lot of tune-ups. We did 6,000 tune-ups in 1 year, in one shop, okay?
When
And
we started,
used
tune-ups were
guns.
8 to 10,000 miles.
A lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but we get some of them, hey, believe
Yeah,
me,
yeah, more than that.
the guy did absolutely Zippo on his car.
Yeah.
But I gotta say, using the air gun, because we used to do it for speed, and we had a dyno tested car a whole bit afterwards, these things would come out. But every once in a blue moon, you get the plugs that break.
Might
Okay.
what happened with that.
And that's probably there, but the gun may be a good
But
idea.
he's saying none of them broke.
Right.
No.
Yes.
But how
So-
does he get into, like the one I had today?
How do you fit that thing in there?
Yeah, you can't get a gun in the back one, and that's the one that broke
Swivel.
on me.
He probably coming up with a swivel.
swivel?
Ask him how he's doing
Boy,
it.
that's a little dicey because then
Good,
it's shaking around.
We'll see if he writes back about that, because he'll have to go on
Ask him
YouTube.
what type of gun,
YouTube.
whatever, you know, what, the guy who did, ask that question,
That butterfly
or
gun.
stated
I
that,
had 100 years ago, that's.
I haven't seen one in a long time.
I still have one in my
About the
toolbox
size of your
somewhere.
palm.
yeah,
Yeah,
if
yeah.
you can
Real small.
tell us what brand gun that is, it may be, or enough torque. It may be enough to crack
It
it.
has very little torque.
Really
Yeah.
small.
By the way, when you take something out and you tap it, like you were saying, sometimes it really does work.
Yeah.
I've had
Okay.
great luck
Sometimes if you
using
just
the
get mad
the
at it.
air hammer.
We're gonna, Neil, on that note, we're gonna switch over to Neil for a second, because Neil has a great little story over here.
Well, I had a customer come in today that drove in from Maryland with a check engine light, and had a misfire on cylinder number 5. And when I checked it out, he had it was a 2002 with 94,000 miles on it. And I was asking him, interrogating him about the car, what he did, what he hadn't done. He told me that 2 months earlier, he thought he had some kind of transmission problem, brought it to a transmission place, and they told him there was nothing wrong with his transmission, bring it to a repair shop. Brought it to the repair shop, and they checked the coils, and they saw nothing, there was nothing wrong with the coils, but they found a clogged gas filter. Changed the gas filter, and it was good for 2 months. So, and I hadn't seen how many miles on it, and he told me he had 94,000 miles on it. I said, well, just so you know, these, have you ever had the spark plugs changed? He says, no. It's like, He told me that the car, you know, I don't wanna change my spark plugs till you get to 100,000 miles, cause that's what the dealer says. So, I was like, that's a bad move. They should get changed at 60,000 miles. So, when I looked at it, I'm like, we should change these spark plugs. But I will tell you that there is a problem with these spark plugs where they go bad and they blow out and break the coil, and because they're not changed. And sure enough, we did this, he gave me the okay to do the spark plugs, did 7 spark plugs. On the 8th one broke. And luckily we were able to get the Lyle tool to get in there and break the porcelain, and then get another tool to take the metal out, and it came out. Thank God we were able to get them going tonight.
And by the way, that kit, has anyone else, has anyone else used that Lyle tool?
Yeah, I got the tool.
It works really good.
Yeah.
If you're working on Fords, you should have it. I mean, I've seen it in action and used it pretty damn good.
Yeah.
That's a good setup.
Can I say something else about a Volvo?
Say whatever you want.
Whatever you want.
I got
Inside the
something
talking.
I had a 2004 XC70 with a customer, the anti-lock brake light came on and had 2 codes. And it both turned out to be, it was a problem with the ABS module. And so I have a guy at the dealer that I deal with, and it was probably going to be like a, you know, I could get the module put in, but then he'd have to code it for me. So it probably would cost $800, something in that neighborhood. So I told the customer, it was going on intermittently, so, and he doesn't use the car very often anymore. And I said, you know, just, you know, wait on it. But then he went online and he found out that this Panasonic makes these things or something like that, and they're having electrical problems, and they're trying to sell online. When customers look this stuff up, they sell their unit for $150.
Panasonic?
Not Panasonic. These companies that
China
are
Sonic.
China Sonic.
China Sonic.
They rebuild them or whatever they do to them, and they sell them for $150. So I said, well, get it, and I'll put it in, I don't care. He's like, no, I don't want to do that, I want you, like, so he's going to give me the paperwork on it, but I just want you guys to, and I had another encounter.
I wouldn't get rid of the old part just yet.
No. But, well, and I have one other thing, I have
That's what's
Well,
out
hold
there.
on, let's just stop a second now. You see, here's where Google comes in real handy. Some people, I hate Google. You as a shop owner should start Googling stuff, because you know what? Your customer is Googling stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
And you
good
want to go, hey, look,
You don't want to be ignorant.
I've seen that, and I don't. You want to take a chance? You could buy it. I'll charge you the labor. So when it comes in and out twice, I don't want to hear anything. You bought the part.
Jerry,
That's the way
funny
to
that you mentioned
handle
about
that.
Google. I have a shop that does not have an information system. And I asked the shop owner, I says, how do you work without, you know, an information system? He says, oh, we got Google.
That's right. I get the same thing from a lot of the shops. We Google everything.
Yeah.
Oh, talking about an information system. Identifix now.
Yes.
With
Yeah.
OEM information.
Yeah.
That's pretty bitchin'.
Right
So
now, it's
just
just
yeah,
free
it's,
to existing customers, but they're gonna eventually charge more for it. But
so
it's
if you guys are not on Identifix,
Reasonable.
I highly recommend getting on Identifix.
Mhm.
I got one more car, 2003 Subaru Legacy.
Junk it.
77,000 miles.
The brakes blew up.
Rust.
Very
Cats.
Cat.
No,
Milky 0420.
misfire.
Oh,
No,
valve-
you got a 420
Valve cover.
Here you
Yeah.
go.
Misfire, there was a cylinder number 1 and 2, that's what it said. But I checked the coil wasn't a problem, wires fine, spark plugs fine, injectors are fine.
Any freeze
Compression-
frame on
Did a
it?
compression test on it, found cylinder number 1 only had 75 pounds. But then I brought it to my other shop, checked it with a different compression tester, and it had 150, it went up to 150, which doesn't make any sense. So I just happened to call one of my Subaru guys, and he told me a good way. I was going to go with my borescope to see if I saw anything in there, if I could see a lot of carbon. But he told me to take the exhaust manifold down and see if the valve guide walked, and both of the valve guides walked.
Ah.
And so when I took the head off, I found there was a bent valve because of it.
What was a fuel trim?
Oh, I didn't check it.
Yeah, fuel trim had to be crazy. Something everyone should look at. with
Fuel trim's
generic.
really
Well, actually, my guy did check fuel trim, And I forget what he told me it was, but he did check it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, that's a lot of this stuff where you can hem things down. Now also, if he did relative compression, seen a
It
problem.
would have seen it
Yeah.
there.
Okay, and that's why I always tell people, that's why Ford put that in the IDS.
Fantastic.
If there's no questions, we can go on with Ed with the IDS.
There's a quick comment. Earl says Ingersoll Rand has a new right angle impact that works great for the rear plugs.
Oh, that hammer.
All right.
I got that gun. I did a webcast with that, that's true. That thing
Yeah.
kicks some
The
serious.
hammerhead one?
Yeah.
Hammerhead.
I saw them in the pictures.
They make a 1/4 inch.
Now you gotta
and
have one, huh?
I'll probably have it over tomorrow.
Yeah, there you go.
By the way, you see the new Ingersoll Rand was in a magazine I was looking at today? Ingersoll Rand 20-volt, 780 foot-pounds of torque.
That's
Cordless.
insane.
That's too much.
Cordless.
You know what, I already got
It's
busted
never
wrist.
too much.
By the way, you know, this
I
is,
agree. Hey, never too much.
They can have
Especially when
some.
you're sitting there, bop, 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 bop,
As a guy who
Come on.
spent about 20 years with achy wrists, I can tell you there is such a thing as too much.
Well, we know how you
And 700 foot-pounds of torque will be breaking your hands up.
I think Craig needs to get one for the post office truck. God knows how hard those things are on.
Oh, man.
Wow.
Okay, so Ed, let's talk about the IDS, and guys, please continue with the comments and stuff. We really appreciate
And
your
questions,
input.
anything, situations, likes,
Yeah.
dislikes, tools, anything. It's a round table. It's an open forum.
Anything. We get tired of yakking.
No, we don't really, but we
Yeah,
want you
never
to
does.
talk.
It's not a round table.
The IDS, there's been a lot of talk on IATN about that. There's been changes from Ford. Just let you know on my experience, I bought my IDS last June through Rotunda. And so when I bought the IDS, I got my 1-year subscription for programming. I called Rotunda last week and asked them what's the situation. I'm hearing that I have to renew my complete subscription. I have to renew part of my subscription. What the lady said was that you have to register. It's software registered now, not VCM registered. So you register your software, and if you're a current subscriber, what they do is they will prorate your subscription without any incurred costs. So basically, since I bought mine in June, my subscription, once I do go on to the Rotunda site and register for the new software, which is version 76, that my subscription will be valid till July of 2012. So they're not penalizing me. I don't have to pay any more. And it goes that way. If you want to
That's
buy
cool.
a new subscription, then you're gonna have
Then
to
you're-
register your software, which is only, by the way, one PC per registration. So you pick a good PC.
Make sure you have a solid machine.
Like Toyota, but if you have a problem, you can contact them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they do screw up sometimes. By the way, most of these things are not really run by Ford.
Right.
They're run like Toyotas that run by Snap On,
Yep.
who actually answers that. And Ford usually uses Helm to run their end, of it. So when you call in for subscriptions or whatever, have all your stuff ready, and if your hard drive crashed or whatever, hey, another good thing is if you go through someone buying tools, not an advertisement, but Joey from AE Tools, super helpful, where sometimes you buy a tool from a manufacturer and you run into a problem, there's no one there to help you. Yeah, it's a little cheaper, but when you're in a jam, and I think Mr. Adam will tell you, Joey comes through and does a pretty damn nice job.
Yeah, for a couple extra bucks, sometimes it's definitely worth the support.
Yeah, I mean, he's helped me out on my Honda tool. I had a couple of issues, and
And they are coming out, if you guys want to wait, they are coming out with Ford's having what they call a VCM2, coming out with a new one.
VCM2,
Yeah.
which means
Time to buy something else.
Sorry.
Yay!
They're adding some,
It's white, excuse
yeah,
me,
they're adding things to it, but I don't remember what she
it's
said.
gonna be wireless from the get-go, I read. And it's gonna be able to be used as a flight data recorder.
Yes, that's it,
That was
flight data, that's what she said.
Boy, that's a handy feature.
The two main upgrades that.
yeah. But now we're wondering, since Range Rover and
Jaguar.
Jaguar.
Okay, now made in China Jaguar. Guess what? Since both of them went away using a generic J2534
Yeah.
box, You know, Ford they've been saying this for the past 4 years or so.
Mm-hmm.
They have it out to do it. You know, are they gonna do that? I bet they are, since they're selling software. I think a lot of the companies are gonna get away from the hardware
Yeah.
that they don't make money on anyway.
Nobody makes money on
And,
the hardware.
and if you're gonna buy a J2534, buy the DrewTech M box, because they're modular and whatever
That's what
else
I
comes
got,
out in the future, you're gonna be ready to rock and roll. I just used it up in Canada. Great tool.
So if you want to use the Jaguar Land Rover tool, you just have to use an older version of software with the J-Box.
Yeah.
It still works that way.
Yeah, still works that way.
Programming, I don't know. I think all bets might be off on that.
Well, programming is always funny. It's just like now, let's take the new MDI,
Mm-hmm.
okay? You know, that makes some of the stuff easier for programming, but then let's look at Chrysler, where you're going back with the Y-Tech, and it's looking at some of the DRB 3 stuff,
Yeah.
but you can't program with it.
Yeah.
So there's like, these companies are all playing some
Still
crazy
just better
stuff.
have that real interface.
The real
They can do
interface
the
for
real
now.
thing.
Yeah,
Mhm.
especially, like even with the MDI, it's not all that great going back on the older cars,
Right.
you know? So it is out there. If you're gonna buy one of these, it's good, but you gotta make a case for yourself. How many times do I get stuck without having the factory tool?
Right.
Do a return on investment on anything you buy, as we've talked about this before too.
And these,
You know, let's
these two
figure out
guys-
what you're gonna use it, figure out what it's gonna cost, figure out what you're gonna charge, and then figure out if it's making a profit for you.
Yep.
Because these two guys are mobile tech, so, you know, you need a lot of different scan tools.
I'm unhappy
To go
with the
with.
whole J thing right now, and I'm gonna say I'm probably gonna be unhappy with it at least for another couple years until it gets better. But right now, it's not a, you know.
Too
with the
unstable,
last-
takes too much time.
The last interface was supposed to be so built up that you weren't gonna have to buy another one, and now there's a later interface because the rules have changed. So it's all political, it's all,
Well, that's because of
Yeah.
Europe.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's
Europe-
too many things stirring around.
The Europeans, because
Can't
of
trust those Europeans.
that BMW car that took so long to reprogram, was BMW was the first one to do this,
Yeah.
said, hey, we need to get this data down. We can't just overnight this person's vehicle to reprogram this 7 Series vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
We need a faster interface. So that's why Michael Drew from DrewTech sits on the SAE committee. I mean, believe me, I was there, you know, at some meetings where you're trying to fight this thing, and it's like, you can't stop them. Because the Europeans go, we have a whole new ISO interface, and what did Michael Drew do? He's building it to where whatever they come out, of course, that
He can
leaves it
put it on.
open for some other company to
Yep.
say,
To do the same
the
thing
hell with
again.
ISO, we're gonna go with a whole different spec.
Right.
You know, why do you have VPW, PWM, ISO, CAN? I mean, you know, slow keyword protocol. It's like a cluster.
Yeah.
And by the way, speaking of J-boxes, if you get the E software, you don't need to buy their hardware now. Any J-box operates all the E software.
Really?
And Galinsky, from what I've seen out there in Vegas, Steven did a great job. And you remember our scan tool
He
shootout,
always was good at.
the best graphing out of anyone.
Yeah.
The best graphing out of anyone. But when I was out in Vegas, he had a whole bunch of different cars that he's doing a lot more on, and really good, complete Chrysler, Ford, and GM stuff. So
They won the Toyota shootout when we did it.
they
a couple
won the
years ago.
Toyota shootout. Yeah, remember it did unbelievable, very very good where no one else came near.
Cool.
In regard to what Neil was saying, a guy named Rich says C5 Corvettes have a similar problem. The ABS module causing loss of active handling, ABS and traction control codes. And online, the fix is people take these used circuit boards in the modules and they resolder them. and apparently they work. Because
Well, that was true with BMW for a while.
That was true or
We-
no?
They had issues. I
There were no
never
people.
really got a good answer, but I think when they changed their manufacturing standards to get the lead out, they had issues with what Rich actually talked about at the seminar that we just had. Cold solder joints or cracking solder joints and
That was big.
weird intermittent, big problems with those. But there's another thing that happens. I have a friend who's an IBM engineer. We just talked about some of this stuff. When they have multi-layer boards, circuit boards, sometimes the soldering process and the new solders don't mix well, and the solder starts to impregnate through places it wasn't supposed to go, and it migrates, yes, and it starts cross-talking, wreaks all kinds of havoc on things. That you're not going to resolder and fix.
No.
The only way you can do that is chip it up and make landfill out of that old one and make a new one.
Yeah, quality control.
It's nothing you can do.
Alex actually fixed one of the navigation modules in Toyota Tacoma, and I think it was like a resistor. It was just hanging. You could touch it with your finger, make it work, go off. You just put some electrical tape, and that's what the customer wanted.
Can't beat that then.
Oh, just electrical thing.
I don't think
To
that's
hold
good
it in place.
To
It's
hold
still working.
Oh, boy.
Okay.
Well,
Well,
sometimes if you solder, and that's the thing, you know, don't take a regular electrical soldering.
Yeah, you have to have electronic.
You know, you need either
Those
electronic
things are
type one.
archaic.
Yeah.
You know,
shouldn't even have one.
the little gas ones work real good because you can just go and.
I have one of those, but I use it to cut
Does
plastic.
great.
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
They're just too big. Everything is so small now, you can't,
Right?
for soldering
It's
stuff.
good for cutting plastic.
And doesn't like a lot of heat.
So someone has a shout out for a tool. My favorite tool is the Master Cool hydraulic flaring tool. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Once he says once you go with it, you don't go back.
That's true, I agree.
I like
Similar
it.
to the stuff you have.
Mine
upstairs.
broke though.
Did it?
The hydraulic thing froze.
Oh, really?
I got, they,
Make good on it.
Yeah, no, that's a nice
That's a
setup.
great tool.
yeah, I
You'll
love
never
that.
flare
You know,
red
make-
line the old fashioned
Make
way.
make the lines up, a lot of nice stuff.
My guy loves
Yeah.
using his old tool though.
That reminds me of that was a BMW thing. We used to press a lot of bushings into control arms and subframes and so forth. Some of the guys were using a porter power, an air-powered, a pedal porter power to drive. They used, a lot of these tools used an OTC, the big old ball joint clamp. What they were doing was substituting a porter power for that drive and being able to use foot power to
Feather it.
Squeeze in between
to either squeeze the bushing out or push the new one in.
Yeah.
Much faster, very controlled. Obviously, dealing with a lot of force, wear face protection, be careful.
Well, face protection ain't gonna help you when a big piece comes out.
Well, you have to be careful with how you work. It's the
That'd
bottom
be
line.
pretty cool if
Run your
Master
palm
Cool
on.
came out with a foot pedal when it still was a.
Yeah, the foot pedal was the big thing. The guys were putting them together. You know, getting a porter power with a foot pedal
Yeah.
to activate.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
And it
Schley
works-
has
it works for some,
I believe,
start
has a whole
compressors,
setup
too, that use
like
a
that.
hydraulic.
Did you see that?
Yeah, let's ask, it's getting close to the end, let's ask around here first, what's on your mind? Any new pressing things that you see or irritates you about our beautiful automotive business?
Winter time.
Okay, winter, so getting ready for the snow.
It irritates you?
And salt coming down on it?
No, business is slower.
No, of course not.
Business.
Business is slow right now.
Nobody likes winter.
Yeah, how's business out there? You know, it
This week
looks.
kinda dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This week
sucks.
was busy.
This week was busy. Week
Yeah.
before was
We,
busy.
we have, you know, I'm back in the dealer arena, right? I was independent for 30 plus years.
Trader.
Hey, you gotta eat.
I hear you.
And we have, you know, new models. So we're busy with the new models, but that's not necessarily profitable work.
No.
It's
And
never profitable.
One of
When you're doing warranty.
the gripe I have still with our industry is we somehow seem to have problems selling diagnostic time. We think that we're gonna do as well by freebieing or cheaping the diagnostic time and then making it up on the repair, and it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
And it sets
This is the-
unreasonable
this is the
expectations.
dealer? you're
Yeah.
saying?
It
Oh,
sets
yeah.
unreasonable,
Everybody tries to just give it away.
yeah. It sets,
Really?
and they screw the techs, by the way, who work for free on a lot of this.
2/10, because that's what the manufacturer
The,
pays.
and
My
and
customers
the
gonna
customers, the customers have unreasonable expectations, and it's just not a healthy situation, because now you're getting misdiagnoses because time isn't being spent because it's not being paid for,
Right.
and, you know, you end up getting married to something that was completely avoidable and everybody knew the answer, but the
CSI.
politics of the situation are no good.
There's a lot of the
CSI
guys,
sheets.
they're not diagnosing, they're Googling them.
I got into a fair amount of
Yeah.
trouble at work when I
There you
mentioned
go.
that the incentivization for the back was hours productivity and the incentivization for the front. This is an architectural problem in all of these businesses. That wasn't really a personal insult. The incentivization for the front was CSIs, what Adam was just saying. So consumer satisfaction numbers are what pays the people up front, and hours, book time hours type labor charged is what pays the guys in the back, and those are at odds with each other. And it's not a healthy business setup. It really isn't. It's not smart.
What else do we have up there, Craig? It's
Maybe last question, we're already over time.
All right.
Is port injection dead? Is everything going to GDI in the future?
Yes,
Yeah, I'd say so.
I would agree.
definitely.
Yeah.
It's more
Now, even
efficient.
though there's tons of problems with
Yeah,
GDI,
more efficient.
but it's more efficient, better miles per gallon, less
And
emissions.
they can control each cylinder individually to some degree. I mean, it's just a,
Well, they can
you're
do
not,
that before.
you're
but-
not averaging all the cylinders with a port, you know, with a big injector type of deal. We're talking about a throttle body type of thing, right?
Well, no, when we're talking about one injector per
Tune
cylinder.
port. You're talking about above the valve.
Oh, you're talking about intake. Oh, I'm sorry.
So you can,
Right.
you
Not
can
listening.
control, you can
Yeah.
control it, but miles per gallon and emissions, lower emissions is why to go in GDI.
We're running out of oil.
Direct.
Well, a lot up in
Sorry, I
Canada,
wasn't listening.
Yeah.
a lot
Yeah,
up in
right.
Canada, but they won't let them bring the pipeline down, so.
Now, the issues with
Lot
port,
down in the Gulf, remember the big spill?
Mhm.
They just gave them the okay to start drilling again.
that's nice.
Now hopefully they got safety.
I just,
Hopefully.
now that my brain wrapped around what the question was, the direct injected engines have issues with intake deposits because there's no longer any gasoline washing the intakes down. They're trying to work around that, I think, by putting in, what a novel concept, by the way, from like the 30s, oil vapor separators, where they let the gases go in and from the PCV, you know,
Yeah.
from the crankcase, and they drain the oil back. This stuff's been around forever, but they're trying to make it so it works in a modern engine, so we don't have these deposits.
They gotta go back to water injection too.
You never know.
Help clean some stuff up.
Yeah, it could, it would actually, you
I
never
used to
know.
like my water
They
injection
could,
system.
they could
I
put
made.
water injection in the car, I mean, I wouldn't put it past them.
But let's now, you know, on that note, what do you think about fogging intakes when it comes to GDI? Since you get intake problems, and you know what I'm talking about, fogging an intake,
We've
spraying
tried,
a cleaner in.
we've tried it with VW,
Unsuccessful.
and it's been mostly unsuccessful. It's,
People I've talked to
we
have
tried the
this.
run right stuff, we've tried to BG has something where you take the whole intake off and you put a plate on it and you soak the thing into something and you suck it back. Well, you know, hell, you can practically scrape it out with a plastic scraper at that point.
Yeah, true.
You don't need all this other garbage. But the idea of just fogging or somehow soaking it, the only way it would work, I think, would be, in essence, to do what BG did, but without taking the manifold off and sacrificing an oil change, basically turning the engine, filling the intake so that the intake just soaked with this stuff. You stir it up with something, ultrasonics, whatever, and then you pump
Drain
it back, drain it, take the spark plugs out, drain the oil, drain everything. You don't have to take the intake off, but you're still doing a substantial amount of work.
I had heard of some minis, some guys at a mini shop or something, they were running the engine until it was full operating temperature, nice and warm. Then they're quickly pulling the intake and spraying down there, or filling it up, whichever ones, they're filling up whichever holes had it, and then the heat was helping break it up.
Maybe so, but on the cars I'm talking about, quickly pulling the intake, just,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Not gonna work.
especially when it's hot.
it's an oxymoron, you're not quickly pulling
Or
that
they're, or
intake.
they're blasting it in there.
Right, and by the
Yeah,
way,
me too.
what Adam said, it's very, very important, always get a car up to operating
Yes,
temperature
before you do that, right,
any cleaning.
yeah.
Now, what do you think about putting
Break it
additives
off.
in the tank on a regular basis?
I think it helps to some degree, but if you're not spraying fuel at the intake,
It's still gonna be a problem.
Right.
you're gonna clean the injectors that way.
Well, more
combustion
on
chambers that way.
this, more on this in the future. What else, Craig, before we say, okay? Well, guys, I'd like to thank you for coming out, and everyone out there, we wanna thank you.
Have a great Thanksgiving.
That's it. Happy
Absolutely.
Thanksgiving, everyone, and look for us on tstseminars.org. Have a great evening and happy Thanksgiving.